Hello, welcome to Conversari, a podcast where you will hear young climate advocates talk about their climate stories, experiences, journey in their climate advocacy, and their take on some of the most pressing issues surrounding the climate crisis. Please welcome your host, Keith Siegfried. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. Isang makakalikasang pagbati sa ating lahat. To everyone who is tuning with us today, who are listening to this podcast, thank you very much. And once again, we are back here at Conversari, wherein we are going to tackle a series of climate conversations about the most pressing issues about the climate crisis. But first, before I introduce our very wonderful guest today, let me just talk about the event that we are having this October 10 to 11, 2020. Today, the Climate Reality Project and the group of over thousands of climate reality leaders all around the world are having this 24 hours of reality countdown to the future. This activity aims to initiate a global conversation, including everyone, about the climate crisis, the current problem, and of course, the solutions that we can do. So I hope everyone who is listening to this podcast will join your climate reality leaders in this global conversation about the climate crisis. Later on, I will discuss more about the different activities, and also my guest here will discuss his activities about this 24 hours of reality. And now, without further ado, let's introduce our guest. Our guest is a very wonderful climate reality leader from India. He was trained last July 2020 during the first ever global training of the Climate Reality Project. So let's welcome Mr. Avi. Hello, Avi.
Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you so much. That was really I can say that you said hello in so many languages. I was not able to even understand what you actually said. But yeah, thank you so much for having me here. It's really pleasure for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much also for joining me in this climate conversation. So this is the second episode of Conversari, and I'm very much honored to be with you this episode. So as a part of the tradition of this climate conversation, of this Conversari, although we only have two episodes, this is the second episode. As a part of the tradition of this conversation, I would like to invite my guest to share his climate story because I know that the climate story of a certain climate advocate is really where he gets his drive to push forward with his advocacy. It's where he gets his inspiration, his motive in doing this climate advocacy. So if you may, can you share your climate story to our audience?
Sure, sure. Like that would be a pleasure for me. So, I have also shared this a lot other spaces as well. So, like I belong to very the capital city of the state called Jaipur in Rajasthan, in India. So, this state is the you can say a desert state in India. We have a complete desert over here in Jaisalmer, Jodhpur. Those are the different cities. But the city in which I am living, that is a very much developed. It is the capital of the state. So, like you cannot expect so much of rainfalls or that much of water dripping in a desert city. But 2 weeks ago, or I guess last month, it rained so heavy it was flooding in the city, in Jaipur city, and everyone was shocked after looking at that. That how can it flood in Jaipur? Like this is such a dry state, not exactly that much of dry, but yeah, you cannot even expect floods or that much of heavy rainfall. But we actually saw floods. Other than that, it is somehow my family as well. They don't believe in climate change, just like Donald Trump. They are not just saying that yes, climate change is a hoax, but they don't actually believe in that because they say that yeah, okay, water is scarce. So what? We are still getting water. We are paying for that, and we are getting water. That's it. But they don't actually understand the concept of climate change. That it is not just water. It's a complete umbrella. There are several more other things in climate change. So one of the things which I have faced in my life is the denial that people don't actually want to believe that climate change is real. And if we are talking about not believing in climate change, then we cannot actually talk about taking an action to climate change. So those all the things are linked, and that's where I say that my story, that I can personally say that people around me don't believe in climate change. And when we actually see these rainfalls, and yeah, I can also share that 2 weeks ago, that was last month when it flooded here. So 2 weeks ago, it was a very sunny day. It was a very pleasant sunny day, and all of a sudden it rained. It was a very clear sky, everything was normal, and it eventually rained. We all were shocked that what actually is happening here. It is raining. It is sunny at the same moment and it is raining, and it rained for almost 30 minutes. So that's where I said to my mom that, see, please, climate change is real. And that's when my parents actually believed me that yes, something wrong is happening around. So yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing your climate story. You see how impactful climate denial is because just like what you said, you cannot take action unless you believe in climate change. I also believe in that saying that information or education is always the first step in climate action. And you have expounded a lot, or you have shared a lot about climate denial in your climate story. And I think every one of us had their fair share of experiences about climate denial. So what do you think is the reason behind the climate denial of many people about the climate crisis? Why do they not believe, even though there are many studies showing that the climate change is real, that humans affect the climate change, and they also feel the effects of climate change with their own lives, but they still do not believe the climate crisis. Why do you think so?
So, like, if we go to the core of this problem, the main problem is that people are, first of all, they are not aware enough. Awareness comes from within when we actually see things happening around. Like my parents did, they saw the rain, and then that's when they thought that yes, this is actually something real. So, first thing will come, that is awareness. Then come with education. I will say that if you'll start teaching children about climate change from the very beginning of their education level, they will actually try to understand that yes, these are a few things which we should not do, so that to save our environment. And I was just talking to one of my friends a few days earlier when we were talking about how to take the 24-hour reality conversation. So we were just talking that there is a statistics which say that by 2050 the earth won't be uninhabitable. If I don't know if much of the listeners would have heard that fact or not, but it is said that by 2050 earth won't be inhabitable. We should be scared by that because earth would sustain. There were volcanoes, there were dinosaurs, there were so many of other things going in the universe, but planet earth sustained itself. Even if the crisis becomes so much of dense that humans somehow become extinct, planet earth will still survive. It will survive anyhow. Things will change accordingly, but it is we who will become extinct. So that is like people should get aware that it is we who are getting endangered right now. We say that some of the species in the world, animals or plants, are becoming endangered. No, it is we humans who are getting endangered right now. We are on the crisis of being extinct. So climate education is one of the things which should be a core subject from the very beginning of the education level for a child, so that they can actually understand from the very beginning that yes, these are the small steps. I should not ride my bike which is using petrol or diesel. I should just walk, or I should take a bicycle. I should not use my private transport anywhere. Like there are public transport, tons of public transport available. I should avail them. Even they are cheaper than our private transportations. So awareness, education. Then you can say that people should actually take some, they should take some action by themselves. We sometimes believe that yes, government is there, they will do the stuff. We are not having the funds. It is government's duty. No, it is our duty. We are the ones who are the government. We are the one who elected the government. So it is ultimately we who will have to take the first step. So very these are very small things which people don't actually understand and they don't want to understand. So I would like everyone says, even our mentor Vice Al Gore have also said that make people aware. There is a statement by DiCaprio that the more you aware people, the more people will take action. So that is somehow I'll say that this is the core where people will be aware about the climate denial.
Yes, that's true. Climate education is a very important aspect in awareness building and in taking climate action. That's why I know that all the climate reality leaders, you were trained, I was trained also as a climate reality leader to give presentations such as this one. So I hope that our listeners who are with us today will visit or will contact some of their climate reality leaders and ask for presentations or watch their presentations. Because throughout this day, there are a lot of presentations happening. And let me just go on and talk a little bit more about climate denial because I have also experiences about climate denial actually. But most of the experiences that I had is on social media. I saw some comments on Facebook regarding climate denial. Actually, not just climate denial, but also climate apathy. They do not care about the environment. So that's another thing because denial is one thing, but apathy or not caring at all. Because
Mm-hmm.
climate education or climate literacy is a part of here in the Philippines. It is part of our education program. However, it is not that good. I will go back to that later. But we have a little bit knowledge about the climate crisis, but still most people or many people are not yet taking action. So that's what troubles me a lot. That there it seems to be a gap between information and action. So what do you think about that? Because in one of the seminars that I conducted a few days ago during the Global Day of Climate Action, that is one of the questions raised by one of my audience. There seems to be a gap between information and action because yes, we do presentations like this one, we do webinars, we do presentations like the 24 hours of reality, like the Truth in 10, but there seems to be still a gap. Some people are still not taking action. Why do you think so?
So one thing you said that you read some posts and some comments on Facebook or Instagram. So social media is one of the main, factor which plays a role over here. People are actually disturbing the conversations which are going around. I won't say that the complete circle is there which is disturbing the conversation, but there is a very small portion. The people, like I don't know whether this is racist or not, but the people like Donald Trump who are saying that climate change is the hoax. So first of all, we'll have to deal with these kind of people because they are the one who are, it is said that one or rotten apple can disturb the complete basket. So that actually is going on here. So we'll have to clear out the conversations that yes, actually this is something happening. We'll have to show them examples. We'll have to make things very much clear in front of them that yes, this is actually happening. You can see the examples. This is not something which we are making up. And when you say uh, action and information, so both should go parallelly. We are the one who will have to spread the information as well. And it is also said that you cannot just change the world by just talking. You'll have to take action as well. So both of the things will have to go parallelly. If I'm today saying that I'm doing a 24-hour reality presentation right now, then tomorrow I'm also going to plant a tree. That is my action as well as information. Both of the things are going parallelly. We are having multiple tons of projects going around the world which are taking climate actions. So we'll have to count both of the things, that there is an action, there is a reaction, and then there is information which is taking care of all those things. So I would say that this is my take, that both of the things should run parallelly.
Okay, thank you very much. Because that's also one of my concerns. There seems to be a gap, and we need to address that gap in order for us to mobilize many people in the climate action because we are at a very important point. We are 10 years away from the first deadline set by the Paris Climate Agreement and by the IPCC SR 1.5 that we need to reduce our global greenhouse gas emission by 45% to prevent global warming over 2 degrees Celsius or 1.5
Yeah.
degrees Celsius. So we are at a very important point, and we need to wake those who are not yet awake. We need to make those who are not yet aware more aware about the climate crisis. So everyone who are listening to us today, please help us in trying to help or to make people aware regarding the climate crisis in one way or another. In by doing simple things such as maybe shifting to a zero waste lifestyle or minimizing the use of plastics or totally not using single use plastic because that's one of the problems now. Also, just like what you said, using public transportation more often, using bicycles and other means of transportation doesn't have any carbon footprint or that has way less carbon footprint than using petroleum based or gasoline based cars. So that's a very good thing to do. And going now to another point that I am always observing, people seem to be um, giving much more importance on convenience compared to the future. Because yes, the solutions are out there. We already have the different renewable energies that we could shift to. Many companies are also doing their part, but we expect more from them. Uh, But people still doesn't do things. They doesn't want to. They don't want to shift to a zero waste lifestyle because of convenience. That's one thing that I can think of. They want convenience more than the life of the planet. They want convenience more than the future of the planet. They want their own convenience compared to the existence of the human population in general. So, do you agree with that? That people are um, making their convenience more important compared to everything, compared to the planet itself?
Very much. I would very much agree to this point that people actually want their convenience to be the first priority. And as I said you, that the earth will survive by itself. There are much more than, like, we don't know much about universe yet. There are much more things around us. So earth will survive by some means, but it is we who will have to take care of our survival. So, when you say that people don't actually care about the environment, they'll have to think that today we are going to pay the cost. Tomorrow it will be a return for us. We all believe that yes, replacing plastic from biodegradable material can cost us bucks sometime. We all very much believe that yes, it sometimes become much more costly than the plastic and other things. Using our own using up, like if I'm going to use my two-wheeler to go to a restaurant, that will be much more convenient than for me than to take a public transport, because what I see, when you're using a public transport, the first thing is that what will be my reputation. My clothes will get the ironing will get disturbed. I won't look that much of good. There will be so much of dirt in my hairs. But you'll have to keep these things aside for a moment, because it is we will have to pay the price later. We generally say that today we can pay the price of such thing, and later I'll get a return for that, just like the stocks or the funds or equity. So we'll have to take it as an equity. So that is where our education and climate denial and information and action comes in. That will have to spread the word in such a way that people can actually understand that. People can understand that this is our planet, this is our single home, which we'll have to take care of. May that be green living, sustainable living, non-plastic, zero waste. Google has said that they will go zero waste by 2030, but that is Google. We cannot live the life of Google. They are paying bucks. We don't pay actually bucks, we pay cents. So that is where the difference comes in between the companies and our own lives. So we'll have to make a transition, a difference we'll have to generate over here.
So it entails to have behavioral change. We need to really change the way we live, change the way we see things. We should stop caring too much about ourselves. We also need to care about the environment, care about the future generations who are not yet here. But unless we do something, they will suffer the worst effects of the climate crisis. And
Exactly.
yes, we have been mentioning about climate education on and on. I would just like to ask, how is the climate education implemented in your country?
Being very much honest with you right now, I would say only 5%, according to my understanding, that climate education has been implemented only till 5% of the extent. Because over here, see, the education system of India is very much disturbed right now. They don't actually believe in taking actions. They are only just about information. They are not updating their courses, but they are still relying on the courses which have been developed by our ancestors. So somehow, yeah, the government is working to change the education system. They have made very much of new reforms which are fantastic, but that will take a lot of time. And climate education is something which I believe that even if the government or the schools are not right now inculcating in their curriculum, we should be the one climate reality leaders or other people who are, the caretakers of the society, working in NGOs or different organizations doing CSRs. they should build like a such common curriculum should be made around which can be taught to these children according to the age or the the class wise, because climate education is something which we'll have to talk on ultimately, if not now then today, if not today day after tomorrow, but ultimately this will have to come into the conversation somehow. So if I'll just ask you a question though, when you were in school, did you actually got to know something about climate change or climate anyhow?
Mhm. Um, During my school days, actually, I got a little bit of climate education because climate education in the Philippines is um, integrated in the science subject. However, there is one thing lacking: the connection to action. Here,
Hmm.
the climate education here in the Philippines mostly talks about the science behind climate crisis or the different environmental problems. That's good. However, it is not enough. It is not actually teaching the children on how they would take action against climate crisis. It is okay that the children know that okay, global warming is happening because of the greenhouse gases. This has been happening for many years now. But what then? What should the children do after that? There is no connection between information and action. That is what I've been saying a while ago, and gonna stress it again now. That is one thing that is missing in the climate education program here in the Philippines. That's why there is also a need. I share the sentiment that there is a need to reform the climate education program here in the Philippines in order to really teach the children, or not actually teach, but to train them on becoming climate literate individuals who are willing and ready to take action against the effects of climate crisis.
Exactly. So I'll say that the same situation. So if I'll somehow relate to you, the same situation is there in India. Now, yes, there are science textbooks. They'll tell that yes, greenhouse gases are emitting. This is the ozone layer. It is depleting. There is an ozone hole and stuff. But they won't actually take their children to the garden and say that yes, plant this tree by yourself. Plant, sow these seeds by yourself. We are not going to. Plastic is banned in our school. You cannot bring your lunch boxes in a plastic wrapper, or you'll have to use cloth instead of the aluminum foils to wrap your breads or your chapatis and stuff. Some of the global shapers community, which is an initiative of World Economic Forum. So we are also doing this small action by this 21 days challenge, where we are asking people to small bits in, to bring small changes in their lifestyle, which will take them to green and sustainable living. Like one of the tasks is exactly the same, that replace your aluminium and paper napkins to the cloth napkins. Replace your tissue papers to cloth napkins. Plant a seed, like just sow a seed, have a kitchen garden, have an indoor plant. So these are very small things which even schools will have to actually have their children to do them. They'll have to include their in this co-curricular activities. So this is one of my take, which I'll say that co you know you can mix all these things together, but ultimately we are not the decision makers. We are not the ones who are actually allowed to bring the change in the curriculum. Otherwise, I don't know the world, what the world actually was right now, could have been. So this is somehow, if we can picture governments or the local organization or actually the schools who are the sole owner of the course to completely generate the curriculum. So maybe asking them to bring this kind of change. So that goes again with your point. Action with information. That will bring out the
Yes.
reaction.
Yes, that's very good. Yes, because I'm a teacher by training, so I'm really advocating for climate education, not just climate education, but transformative climate education. It should not stop with knowing. We should be able to transform our students from being passive learners to active members of the climate movement, because that's the end goal of climate education: to involve the youth in the action for climate change, or for action against the effects of climate change. Because unless we involve everyone, but when I say everyone, I mean everyone from
Hmm.
every part of the world, because we need to be united now. So we need
Yeah,
everyone, every single soul in this planet to be committed and do action. Every, no matter how small that is, no matter how insignificant that may seem, but it is not actually insignificant if all together we do that. That will have a huge effect on our environment and our climate.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, like you say that you are a school teacher. That means you will know much better the situation of the schools than me. If we talk about the schools, so yeah, like again the same thing goes around that we'll have to take some actions. May that be very small, may that be that much of large. So to say that, like if I just say one of the sayings in Hindi, the language in India, बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है, which translates to that every drop will count to a sea. Every drop ultimately makes a sea. So it is we who will have to make very, very small actions, and that will ultimately bring out the big, big change, which we'll be able to see.
if you just imagine that every single soul in this planet, what, about 8 billion of people in this planet will take action, will, for example, avoid using plastics, how impactful that would be in our climate, how beautiful our
Exactly.
planet would be if we just do that. So we should start at single steps, us climate reality leaders and those who are trained or those who have passion actually to educate the public about the climate crisis, about the reality of the climate, should do their part, touch every single soul that you can, because that would help a lot in our movement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And now let's move on to the youth, because you and I both are members of the youth community. And we are seeing a lot of youth uprising since time immemorial. We have seen youth at the forefront of the climate crisis. They are leading, they are organizing. How important is the youth in this climate movement?
So, like, if you're just asking this question from like me being one of the part of the youth, so I'll say that the biggest owner of Earth right now, or the biggest owner of the future is youth, because ultimately we are the ones who are going to stay over here and we'll have to see the changes, or it is our kids who are going to see that yes, by 2050, no more Earth. So it is ultimately we. So this is also one of my understanding, and I've read somewhere that we used to earlier say that parents teach their children each and everything they learn. But nowadays, the time has changed. It is we children who can teach our parents to bring the change. So, first of all, the change has to come by within ourselves. We'll have to understand that yes, this is our future that is very much dark, which is darker. So we'll have to first of all look into that. That yes, how we are going to sustain, how we are going to, how the lifestyle of ours will change. So accordingly, we'll have to bring the change within ourselves, and then we'll have to teach our parents or our teachers, and we'll have to spread this word within our community that yes, the future is very much darker. We are the one who will have to take care of this, and uh, so we all believe that yes, there are two sides of a coin. So youth can also be sometimes, I'll not say like a very much of a racist or insensitive word, but yeah, there can be some kind of nuisance sometime, because everyone is not having the same mindset. So there can be some kind of nuisance. There can be some kind of ultimate, understanding and strategical working, and so all those people will have to come together, because ultimately this cause is for us. There is no nuisance in this, there is no standards in this, there is nothing to think very much about. This is we who are the sole owner of a particular thing, of our life, of our future. So I would say that everyone will have to come together, and like Greta is doing very, very much of great work, like in such a young age. She is doing such great work for our future by Fridays for Future. And then I also met a very much young people in the global trading as well. There was a girl who was 15, Then there was a guy who was just, I guess, 16 or something. So actually, younger than youth are coming in the front to actually understand that yes, something wrong is going on. So that is very much good to see that yes, people are actually becoming active for this cause.
Yes. It's very wonderful to see the youth taking part in this global action against climate crisis, against the effects of climate change. Because um, in the future, we will be the one who will be inhabiting the earth, and we will take all the worst effects of the climate change. We are already experiencing some of the worst now, and
Mm.
unless we do something, worse is yet to come. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you see, it is very important that we involve the youth, again connecting it to climate education. We need to inform the youth. And let me
exactly.
just ask you this, because sometimes the youth are being what's the word that I want to say, disregarded, or their opinions are often disregarded by some, because they are saying that you are very young, you haven't experienced the things that we have experienced yet you are very loud. You should wait. You should just sit down and study first before talking and talking, before doing those things. Have you experienced those things?
I would very much like to laugh on the last mimicking of yours and the statement which you have put, because this is actually very much of truth. People who are sitting on the decision making chairs, they think that they are the sole owner of our lives, but they're actually not. You know, uh, they are having an understanding which I'll say that is old. They are not upgraded. Sometimes, yeah, some people are very much updated. They are having the complete information around the world, but some are not somehow. And I see, this is my understanding. I'm not just throwing my opinion. This is my personal opinion that I guess we are the one who can understand things from different perspectives. We are the one who can be very much of an optimistic, who are sitting on the both side of the table, who can understand the negative impacts as well as the positive impacts. Youth engagement, which we actually call it. So this was also a subject during the last Global Shapers Summit, which I attended, and there was a lot of conversation going around this, that should youth be allowed to sit on the decision making tables, may that be your community, your local government, or your national government. So we can also put our perspectives. Like this have been happened with me a lot. You said that have this happened with me a lot. I once went to my local government, like the state government, because, like I said, that I'm living in the capital. So we are having the chief minister. So we have a chief minister each and every state. So I went to the chief minister office one day. I was having a proposal because in the residential areas, the roads were not that much of well constructed. They were destroyed from each and every point. There were potholes. There were deconstructed dividers, and the plants were thrown out. So I once went to the chief minister office, and she was not there, and her PA was sitting over there, and he just said to me that you cannot understand what our priority is. Our priority is the tourist area. We are going to fix the tourist area first, and then we'll look after the residential areas. You are not the one who can understand this thing. You are very young right now. You should go study. So that statement of him actually very much pinpointed me, that why not us can take action, and why only the. So this is a topic for some time else. We can have a chat about this. Why only tourist areas are given the priority, not the residential ones.
Yeah.
But the statement of him that you are not the one who decide. We know where to prioritize things. So we are also having the understanding of how the world runs. Yeah, there are kids who are very much young. I would say that yes, the girl who was at the training, who was 15, I don't think so that she'll be having that much of knowledge around the world. But yeah, if I'll listen to her, maybe I can also learn a lot more things which I don't know right now. Maybe that can be of her country, or maybe that can be of her culture or understanding or the lifestyle. So somehow, like, I don't know how many of years it will take to have young people reservation, or you can say reserved seats in the local or the national government or the decision making communities. But yeah, we also have some, perspectives, some opinions which I think that we should allow to be put. Like, I'll say, like, what is your point, or like what will be your take on this? Because we both belong to the same community,
Yes.
the youth community.
Yes, I agree with you exactly that the youth should be part of the decision making body. And actually, here in the Philippines, I'm not sure if this is also present in other countries. We have the Sangguniang Kabataan or the Youth Council in our municipality. However, just a disclaimer, this is my own personal opinion. This does not reflect the opinion of my organization. Just a disclaimer. Um, there's still something lacking because sometimes the youth council are not proactive. They are just doing projects that I would call band aid projects, like um, do basketball tournaments. I'm not saying that that is, but however, they should move away from those band-aid projects and move to more sustainable projects. That's why we already have the sustainable development goals that they should frame their projects with. The Philippines also have the National Climate Change Action Plan, the different points that they could adopt in doing their projects. So even though that there is um, a youth council, a youth representative in the government, there's still something that needs to be done. But I'm happy actually that some youth councils are doing their work, but others are not yet. So we need to encourage them more. That's why last September 25, actually, during the Global Day of Climate Action, my activity, the climate crisis webinar that I held, the digital climate strike that I held, was in partnership with the youth council of my municipality. That's why I'm very happy that they supported me. However, I hope that it will not stop there, that they would adapt other projects that would be more sustainable, that would really help the youth, empower the youth to become more active citizens of the country. Because unless we encourage or unless we empower the youth to become more active in this global conversation, in the climate conversation, or even in the social awareness aspect, we would not go anywhere. So the youth plays a key role really in the decision making process, and we must be involved.
So, like, if we say that not only regarding the climate change, but yeah, like you said, that other social, financial, there can be, different sectors where everyone have expertise. So today I'm a trained engineer, so maybe I'll be having some expertise in the uh, computer science department of the government or the decision making body. So I'm really jealous of you right now that you're actually having a youth community within your local government, because if as per my understanding, how much I have learned about my city or my state, I don't have any such of an organization. And if there is, again, a disclaimer, this is my personal opinion, they are very much of, we sometimes feel like they are very much of biased. Because in India, there is also casteism which gets into the way. Like in America, there is a color situation. So in India, there is a casteism which comes into the way, which actually disturbs us sometimes in terms of reservations and much more other things. So these bodies should be very much of unbiased, where every opinion is given, a space with that. Yes, I respect your opinion. Please head it over. Please
Yes,
shoot the
yes.
opinion. I respect that. Maybe we'll consider this somehow. We will try to involve this, or maybe if that is somehow wrong, we will correct you, because there is always a space for corrections. There is always space for improvements. So yeah, youth, I don't know, like, whether when our kids will be there, they will be made a part of the decision making in terms of youth, or maybe by the time we are not more on in our lives. But yeah, I guess that's a very long journey and the long way to take right now, involving youth and decision making.
But we remain hopeful that sooner, not later, but sooner, they will involve the youth. That's why actually, I don't know if you have heard it already. Different youth advocates from different parts of the world are doing a mock COP, the mock COP 26, wherein they are organizing this COP in the sense that what if the youth will organize the cup? Because honestly, the previous cups are not that productive. They are just prolonging the process. Actually, that's why the youth are now being um not angry actually, but it seems like the adults are not doing enough in those cup conference of parties. That's why they are organizing this mock cup, and I think that's a very wonderful event actually to see and to watch. Are you planning to participate on that mock cup?
So I'll share this with you. That was last month when I actually visited the website. Like
Mhm.
some friend on my Instagram posted the story about mock COP26. I didn't actually knew more actually about that. So that's when I heard about mock COP26 last month, and I went to the website and I applied to be a part of the organizing team. And yesterday I got the Slack invitation that yes, Avi, you are a part of the decision making community in the mock COP26. So yeah, maybe the event which is going to be organized in India, maybe I'll having my hand somewhere in that.
Oh, good luck, and I hope that it would be a success. I'm still thinking if I will submit my application or not, because when is that? The deadline is on October 17th, a week from now. So
No, like there are a few, there is a girl from Philippines. I can share your contact number with her,
yeah,
and
I think
maybe
I know her. Yeah, the
Beatrika.
organizer, Beatriz.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the name, I guess.
yeah. Yes, actually, she contacted me also about this mock-up. So I'm still thinking if I will try and be part of the country's delegate or just be a supporter for now. But actually, that's a very good initiative that the youth are organizing this cup, because those who are in the decision-making body of cup, those who are attending this cup, supposed to be this year is the COP 26 at Glasgow. It was moved next year. They are just prolonging the process. And we need to be urgent because 10 years, in 10 years, we have the first deadline. Then in 30 years, we must be net zero in our carbon emission. But still, we are in the negotiating process. Like, what is happening with you? Why are you prolonging that process? It was 5 years ago when Paris Agreement was set. How many COPs have already been done in order to um, finalize the Paris Agreement rule book to finalize? Actually, this year, the different countries are supposed to submit the updated NDCs. Um, so, what is happening with the adults who are in the decision making process? That's why I think the youth organized this mock up, and I'm looking forward to it as an audience or as a country delegate. I'm not yet sure.
So I'll say that when you when you say that people the people sitting on the decision making, we don't know that where actually their focus is on instead of taking care of the Paris Agreement submissions and other things. So somehow, like again the same thing, they are being very much of biased, so we can say I'm biased. I don't know what actually the term I should use here. They don't actually care much about the environment. They just care about their chair, the chair on their sitting, that they want to secure it for the next term of the elections or not. That is, like, I won't say that is my opinion, but that is a sad reality over here. That is a reality over here. I will say for India. I don't know about other countries, but yeah, for India, this is the sad truth that uh, they are the focusing on the things which are not so much important right now. Like they can be given a space after a year or two, or maybe next month. But the things which have to be done right now, they have to be done right now. May
Yes.
that be planting some more trees, or and I'll say that I forgot putting that point at the moment when we were talking about the SDGs. So
Mhm.
whenever like, okay, this is my opinion. Like, should we give disclaimer each and every time?
Actually, no, we have given a while ago. So for those who are listening, the opinions that we have stated and we will state until the end of this podcast are only our own opinion and does not reflect the opinion of our organizations.
Yeah, exactly. So whenever a project is designed, may that be for the local government, or may that be from national government, or may that be from our small communities, may that be climate ready project, or may that be global shapers community. Everything should be centered about SDGs, because like so many of dignified people have sit and they have designed those 17 SDGs, and they mean somehow to the world. So I would say that whenever a project is designed, those things should be kept in your mind. while designing a particular thing, so that so that our money is also being spent at the right point, at the right space, and also we're getting the right output out of that.
Yes, that's very good. And oh, we're almost talking for an hour now. I forgot the time. So it's a very nice conversation when you have like-minded people actually. But just before we end this conversary, I know that we can still talk a lot. Maybe we could schedule another conversation about other topics because there are still much to talk about the climate crisis. But for now, let's leave our audience hanging. So if you will have a message to the youth or to the listeners or to everyone who are with us and who will watch this or listen to this podcast soon, what is your message to them?
I would say that start something, start taking small steps that can be very micro, minute, or anything. Just plant a tree near your house. Just have uh, try to, as I said, that try to replace your cloth paper napkins with your cloth napkins. Try somewhere, and you'll get to a point when you like those things. They won't cost you much, but they'll give you happiness that yes, I'm somehow doing something for my planet, my earth. So yeah, that will be my message. That just start something. It doesn't take so much of time.
Yes. Thank you very much, Abby, for joining me in this climate conversation. I know that those who are listening with us today have learned a lot about our discussion on climate denial, on climate education, the importance of the youth in the decision making process, and a whole lot more. We tackled a lot of um, issues regarding the climate crisis now. And maybe in the future, we could do a part two of this conversation. But for now, let's leave our audience hanging. And we have a lot of activities set for today, the 24 hours of reality. Do you have any activities on your side?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to present to my hub, the Global Shapers Community Hub of my city. So yeah, we are going to present a 24-hour reality presentation over there, and maybe next week I'm also hoping to present in the college where I did my graduation. So yeah, cross fingers.
And good luck with your activities. And for those who are listening with us, the Philippines will have a 24 hours webcast, and it's actually ongoing now. So you head onto the Climate Reality Philippines page at Facebook, and you will see the different activities set for today. So again, thank you very much, Abby, for joining me in this climate conversation. And to our audience, thank you very much. And let me leave everyone with this simple Filipino quote: kapag namulat ka na sa katotohanan, kasalanan na ang pumikit. Once you're enlightened about the truth, it is already a sin to close your eyes. Thank you very much, everyone, and stay safe.